at Brian Ference 1 or MAGAMindPodcast.com. With me today on the show is Gen X Girl. Say hello, Gen X Girl.
Hello.
And Gen X Girl is remaining anonymous, which is totally fine. She has some interesting things to talk about today, so we're happy to have her on the show. Um, what I want to do first is I just want to give like a little update of something that happened for my followers. So I have been a member of the X monetization program, the creators program, for not very long, like probably a few months, something like that, and been getting some very small payments. Well, one thing that X did today is they just um, paused. They paused my monetization, and apparently there's a lot of people that were paused. And it's interesting that it happened. I follow terms of service very closely. I do investigative journalism. I make unique videos. It's all within the requirements. I meet the all the other requirements. So to me, it's interesting that I have been paused, but then we have all these really large influencer accounts which are not paused, which are making a lot of money, and they're really just violating the terms. They're either posting just non-valued comments, just like one-liner questions or good morning, or they're doing this like reply guy strategy all the time, where they're not adding any content really, or they're just reposting Fox News videos, stuff like that. So it's interesting that those large influencer accounts are getting, they continue to be monetized, but all these smaller X accounts that are creating original content or free speech content, stuff like that, those are all being demonetized. So Gen X Girl, give whatever intro you want to, and then we're going to talk specifically about one of these MAGA influencer accounts, which is the Insurrection Barbie account. So Gen X Girl, go ahead if you want to do like an intro, and then I'm ready to share this article that you wrote if you want to start with that, but you let me know, what to share first and how do you want to go.
Okay, sure. Thanks for having me. I'm on X and I've been posting for the last few years. I post mainly about government corruption, free speech, and anti-war. That's probably the three topics that I just focus on
Mhm.
solely. Part of the speech advocacy that I do, not only for defending the First Amendment, but also I've started to realize that there's this sort of double-sided thing happening where not only is there censorship being imposed, such as the example that potentially you could be facing right now with the demonetization, but also that there is a lot of sort of within the larger influencers, there
Mhm.
are a lot of narratives that are pushed that if you start to track where they came from, they're coming from certain realms, from certain, government talking points, from certain groups, and they're repeating that. And so when you start to do searches on X for certain phrases, you start to see it. And it's
Mhm.
all, and it never fails. You'll see them posted all at the same time within like a 1 to 2 hour period, and everyone's saying the same thing. So it kind of made me step back and wonder what's really going on. Like is why are certain narratives constantly being pushed on us, and literally gaming the algorithm so that it starts to trend, and
Mhm.
then people start to believe that this is in fact the narrative. And for most people who don't have a lot of time, they come in X, check it for a little bit, move on. They're not able to, research and find out where is this coming from. Why is this being pushed? I'm retired and I have a lot more time, so I do that kind of stuff and I try to expose that stuff. Like, this doesn't make sense, and oh, by the way, this information is, it's very selective, or in some cases, flat out false.
Mhm.
So that's how I kind of have done that, along with, obviously exposing bills and legislative actions that also infringe on speech.
Right. No, good. That makes sense. So let's show one of these articles. Let me share my screen. I do want to say also one of our viewers, Cherry, said hello. So hello, Cherry. Thanks for joining. All right, let me show this one. I gotta move it around just a little bit. All right, are you able to see that on your end, Gen X girl?
It is, but it's flipped backwards.
It's flipped backwards. Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Okay, so that must be something with my settings. On mine, I wonder if my viewers, if it's flipped backwards. It shouldn't be. I mean, we're on Restream right now, so I usually use Rumble Studio. Right now we're on Restream, so it's possible that that's why. But do you want to just bring it up on your phone, or I can highlight it and you can just speak to it. Um, Maybe we can.
Yeah. I could just speak to it.
Okay.
As
Hopefully
long
for
as
our
everybody else.
viewers, yeah. Sorry. Hopefully for the viewers, it's not going to be flipped backwards. So I'm sorry about that. Go ahead though.
Um, yeah. So I mean, just based on that, sort of, I've seen some of these patterns happen before, where very large influencer accounts are pushing certain narratives. Insurrection Barbie started to pop up in my stream, and on my feed, and I started to notice some of the stuff that she was posting, and it wasn't accurate at all. The one that I think caught my eye and really got me interested in looking into her was a post that she had put that really went viral, and then I noticed again that there's other people posting the same thing at the same time. It was within like a 2 hour span, and the other accounts weren't as large as hers, but they were the 200-300 realm. Can you hear me? It
Yeah.
says, "Oops, connection lost."
You broke up just a little bit. Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Uh oh. Oh man. Let's see. Let's see what we can do here. It looks like. Can you still hear me, Gen X girl? Let me go back to this. I think she's going to rejoin. I think everything is fine on my end, but I'm going to message her. Let's see. She says we lost connection. I'm asking her to rejoin. Oh, are you back? Hey, Cherry, how's it going? All right, Gen X girl is rejoined. Let's see. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yes.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're back. I'm not
Okay.
sure what happened. I'm not sure if it was on your end because it didn't notify me that my stream was interrupted. So it might have been on your end. I'm not sure.
Oh, weird. Okay. Yeah, it said that we lost connection.
Okay. All right. But we got you now. So keep going where you left off.
Okay. Where did it cut off? I'm not really sure.
It's hard to say on your end. I think you were just talking about, you noticed that there was a couple posts. So what I'm showing is it talks about a little bit of her background, her real name, and like her background. But is that what you want me to show, or?
Yeah. No, that's fine. You could show the very last post I think I did. I think it's like the 7th post.
Oh, in the thread, you mean?
That in the thread, yeah, because that information, that post that she did there, is what caught my eye and got me interested in looking at her
Is it
close.
Is it this one where she
And,
says, I've gotten a screenshot for her to post before she deleted it. This is you got me, baby doxer.
oh, oh, no. Go up a couple more.
Okay.
It's the one where she's showing data on Qatar, or sorry, on Israel.
Okay, let's see.
I believe it is. Yeah, that's the one right there.
This one.
That's
Okay.
the one. Yeah. Yeah. So what happened was, I saw this post and I track lobby money really closely.
Mm-hmm.
And in particular, in Israel lobby money as well. And I knew that this data that she had pulled was highly selective because one of the issues with how places like, well, the FEC period, it tracks lobby money is they have FAR registered lobbyists, which is what this list is. And then there is, everyone else that, quote unquote, is not required to register under FARA. Most of Israel's lobbying funds that are.
Oh, your audio's breaking up again. Oh, I hope I didn't lose you again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. It looks like the audio is kind of going in and out a little bit. I'm not sure if it's your connection or mine. I hope it's not mine. Can you hear me okay now?
Okay, yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, yeah, all right, keep going. I'm still showing it. Keep going where you left off.
Okay. So most of their data is not recorded as under FAR registered. So she posts this and says, that this is this is the information, and China is the problem and it's not Israel because Israel's like listed at number 10. Well, the problem with this data is, again, these are FAR registered entities. And so I went into Open Secrets, which I do often, and I know, and I pulled the data and I looked to see, well, what's in this list, and I'm like, oh, these are all FAR registered. And so, I was kind of like scratching my head, like, why would someone post that when majority of people know that this is, that there is this delineation, And I started to look through her post and I started to see that there's definitely a theme that's being pushed to downplay certain information and to start to point at different directions, right? And so that's what got me interested. And I started to look into her account more. And I started to ask around with some friends. And then I found out a lot more about her. And there was a group of people that actually had a history with her and knew her when she was, under different accounts with different aliases. And I think in that thread, I included, I think it's in the second or third post, where it's a really interesting thread that I included in there. If you keep going from the top, it's like the second or third.
Let's see.
So that's first, right? So then the sources of this.
This is the first one, and then sources.
And then it's the one I think right after that.
Okay. This one?
Yep. And so the post that I embedded in that is, a group of people who knew her as Mary Alvarez and also as Yessie when she had two different accounts. Those accounts are both deactivated now. And what's interesting is that in the embedded thread, they talk about knowing her. This one individual talks about how they were all part of a group chat when she created Insurrection Barbie. They helped boost the account, and then they found out that she was lying. And she was lying about who she was. She was lying about what she stood for. She was lying about a lot of things. And there's a video that she puts in there that she said, and I think it all started for them as questioning who she is as an individual because she had given them a certain narrative about her children being actually her niece and nephew, but it was actually her children. So there was a lot of these personal things that people were like, wait a minute. And then finding out that the person, the name that she claimed she was not it. And then somehow it all came about, and her real name was shared with them.
Right.
And then she became Insurrection Barbie.
Well, I think it has
there's
up
still
here.
this-
Is it Irina Pavchinskaya Sedano?
Yes, that's it. That's her name.
Okay.
And so and then as they start to question her, they found that she was wearing a wig. There's a video in that in the thread that I included in that post. And so then they started to ask why she's wearing a wig, and they started to share pictures of her. I don't know. It all kind of got really like a lot of whatever. So then she dug herself even further by claiming that she had cancer, and then they found out that that was a lie. She went as far as going to doctors' offices and wearing masks, and claiming that she was there and wearing a mask because she was immune compromised and all this kind of stuff. But they exposed that it was all a lie. She was not a cancer patient. None of that was true. And so a lot of these people who knew her, and some who considered her as a friend, distanced themselves from her and were basically like, we don't know who you are, and you're lying. You're constantly lying. So those same people now are the ones that, if you search on X, have been posting ever since 2022 that this account is, this person is a liar. This person has impersonated, several different people, blah, 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 blah. And they were the ones who started to expose, who she really was, her real name. And then I started to get tidbits and information that I gathered from all these different places where they actually started to post hyperlinks to articles, which is what I put in the sources. Yep. So that's the video for in the doctor's office. There's, I think, a couple of them that are like that. And so, and then in the articles, she posts, that people had shared. That's where the information about her past crimes and this is all public information.
Right.
Was listed. It was two separate incidents of theft. The first was like $2,000, but the second one was pretty big. She embezzled like $83,000 from her employer, who was an accounting firm.
Wow.
But what's crazy is that the first time she was, charged, she was actually a lawyer. She was, and she lost her bar license because of that. So once she turned herself in, admitted, and then she was, I believe, convicted, I think, she lost her bar license. After that, then you see that she was charged again. And the second time it was for a much larger sum of money.
Wow.
Yeah. And so, when you saw that pattern of, oh my gosh, so in real life, this person has committed some serious crimes, and lost their bar license, which is very bizarre because that's very hard to get, right? To become a lawyer. You're dedicating a lot of your time to studying. And so for you to then turn to theft is just really bizarre to me. But, and then, all of a sudden she shows up right after all of those have occurred. She doesn't have a bar license anymore. She's been charged twice. Then all of a sudden she shows up on X, and in this new persona. And mind you, that stuff that was happening during the time when she was using those other accounts. But in 2022, August is when the Insurrection Barbie account and persona were created. And then she started to just rapidly grow. And the growth is very bizarre, which I also have on that thread.
Did you send me a link that talked about the growth?
I did. It's in our.
It's not the post per minute, right? It's not that one.
It's not the post per minute. It's the one right up two above that.
Oh, okay, let me go back to that. So let's see. Sorry, I made it a little bit bigger. Let me scroll
It's
down. Okay.
okay.
So let's see.
Yeah.
This is
So
where she's disbarred, and
it's
then
so this is the one. Okay. Yeah. So we can start here.
mhm,
So I was trying to find, I was trying to get history, growth history. Unfortunately, since Twitter became X, a lot of the API is no longer for apps that allow you to see that. They
mhm,
don't work anymore. So
mhm,
I wasn't able to do that. So I started to look through her own history on X to see, what was her first post? What was, and these are her oldest three posts.
mhm.
So the account was created on August 18th, or at least those started posting on August 18th.
Right.
And I know from my own personal account that when I posted my first I don't know 20, 30 posts, nobody was even seeing it. I mean,
Right.
it's just you've got to build right
Right.
to get a following and get people to actually see your stuff. And it was just bizarre that, on your first day you show up and all of a sudden your posts, people are just flocking to your post and she's not even saying anything that's, groundbreaking. I was like, well, maybe something, she's exposed something that no one's heard before, but she's just commenting on, her opinions of what's going on. And so it's nothing, major. So that was a
Mhm.
little bit of a red flag, like, this is weird, right?
Mhm.
And then when I went and looked at that thread that I was just telling you about earlier, and
Right.
I read that her friends, said in the thread that they helped boost her posts when she became Insurrection Barbie. And
Mhm.
so that then all of a sudden made sense. I was like, okay, so she had people helping boost her post. And so, but then you go, to a month after that, and now her, with only 1,200, or sorry, 12,000 followers, I believe, her posts are not going viral level, and that's just bizarre. And again, it's not information that you're like, oh my gosh, this was mind blowing, discovery that everyone's like, look at this, what this person found. It's
Right.
just, it's normal everyday comments, right?
Mm.
And so what's happening there? So then I started to ask around from those people and that knew her, and they all started to talk about how she was getting boosted, and also some people said that they were confident that she may have bought some followers. I, asked for screenshots of, confirmation. But those group chats they said that they were in no longer exist. So, that's nothing that I can confirm, but that is something that was just insinuated, right? And
Right.
so, but then as I was doing my research, that post from Red was dropped where he
Mhm.
actually went back and did some calculations on how many posts per minute has this account been doing, and that was that helped like confirm what was already what I was suspicious of, which was just incredible activity. And he calculated that she's posting literally every 3 minutes since August of 2022.
Yeah,
Th-
let's pause and talk about that for just 1 second. So I'm going to show her account because as a former, I guess, ex creator, I know a little bit about this. Let me show her current account because it'll show at the top like her total number of posts, right? Let's see.
right.
Insurrection Barbie, there she is, defiantly free. So it says at the top, it's right up here, it's 430,000, over 430,000 posts. And it includes replies. Replies are included, but
Mm-hmm.
430,000 posts. But her account very clearly is created August 2022. So you're saying he did the math, and that's 3 posts per minute, 24 by
Mm-hmm.
7, 7 days a week, 365 a year for 2.5 years. That'll get you 430,000 posts. Even while, when does she sleep? When does she eat?
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly, exactly. And that was my thought, right? Is that,
Hmm.
it's impossible you would die without sleep, you can make
Right.
the argument that you're eating while you're posting fine, but you got to sleep at some point.
Right. And for
Um,
myself, well, let me just interject this. For myself, like even if you scheduled your post, it's impossible because the amount of time it takes to write a post, maybe you need to take a photo, maybe you need to look something up. You might need to spell check it. It's literally impossible for one person to post 3 posts a minute constantly for 2.5 years. You would need a team of like 5 people to do that.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Exactly. And I know for some accounts that I've actually, I've either, talked to people or, talked to people that know other people, know bigger accounts.
Mm-hmm.
Some people actually have multiple people writing on their accounts. And so that's where they can go 24 hours a day because, you're on the East Coast, somebody else is in Europe, whatever, and they're going. Like, for example, in my account, I'm on the East Coast. You will always see East Coast hours because there's a certain time my account goes dark
Right.
and there's no activity because I'm sleeping, So, but I mean, I think that that's a natural pattern, right? But then when you see these accounts that are just constantly posting 24 hours a day, it makes no sense, right? And so it has to be multiple people posting this because to your point, even if you're claiming that these are pre-scheduled to post every 3 minutes for a 24-hour cycle, you have to be, it's impossible. You've got to do, you need time to research some of this stuff, right? You're not a machine and all of this, you know what I mean? It's like we're not AI and pulling this data instantly.
You bring up a good point because if it's not a team of 5 people, could she be having AI write these posts? Does she have some kind of software application that's like, scouring the internet, what's trending, write a post, and then, maybe it's not automatically posting it there, but it feeds it to her, and then she and her team just drop it in. But these are actually AI generated posts. Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't know. So there's a realm of possibility of how this could be happening. But what I do know it's just common sense is that this is not one individual doing this, right? Because I even in the comments when I put my thread out, I saw a lot of people commenting that even when she's in a space, and she's often in spaces, that she's constantly dropping posts every 3 minutes, even when she's talking during those 3 minutes.
Yeah, that would be difficult. Like you might be able to, I don't know, like something or, upload a photo when you're talking, but to be able to write like several sentences while you're talking about something else and post it, that is very difficult for a human to do.
Yeah, and to do it constantly, right? And so so there's a lot of very, highly suspect behavior, and that's what I put. I didn't know, obviously, I couldn't claim to know anything 100% definitively aside from the criminal convictions and the disbarment, which were, public record. What I had was information that other people were sharing, and that's what I shared, right? What was interesting is that post, and I honestly, to be honest, I thought a lot of people knew this stuff already. I aggregated basically, I didn't invent any new information on here. I pulled data from the web, I pulled data from people's posts, and I reposted them, and I said, hey, look, this person's saying this, and this, and I put it all in one thread, and it, just took off that morning when I posted it, and I didn't expect it to. And once it did, it started to get back to her. And then I saw somebody post, and that's where I think I put a post in there that says, dude, thank you so much. If it wasn't for your comment, I wouldn't have grabbed the screenshot. But I had somebody say, hey, you've got her crying in her post now. And I said, what? So I went into her post and I saw that she had posted she reposted me. And
really?
She was in, and so that's what, if you go to the bottom of my thread, you'll see what that screenshot was.
So let me go back to there. Okay, so here's the thread, and you're saying it's at the bottom of it?
Yeah, so that one's a good one right there where it says dude.
Oh,
where I'm talking to that guy. Yeah, that guy. So the guy I'm responding to right there, that's the one that said, hey, you've got her crying, about this post. And so I went to go look, and I saw that she had quote posted my post, and she wrote in there that, yes, this is me. and hopefully this will get the doxers off my back and whatever she says. I can't really see the whole screen right now, but
daily
you know,
doxing
and
attempts, personal threats, and intimidation don't work. I'll post whatever content I want, is what she's
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
And I will
But at the
definitely
very
continue to be pro-Israel. She says that as well.
Yep, yep, and she'll definitely be that. And so, and so I grabbed this screenshot and I was about to repost her post underneath my thread.
Mm-hmm.
And when I went push to hit send, it wouldn't it gave me an error. So I did it again, it gave me an error. So then I went back to her post, she had deleted it. And and I started to think about why she would delete it. And then because when I read her post at that time, I started looking at the comments and her followers, it was getting brutal on her. Like her followers were like, I can't believe you did this and blah, blah, blah. People were very angry.
Right.
And so the only thing I can think of is, she didn't get the response she was hoping for. I think that she thought by reposting it, her followers would, have her back and,
Right.
deny it.
Mm-hmm.
But they were pretty angry about it. And so then she deleted the post. Another possibility could also be that, whoever she works with told her, what are you doing? You don't admit, and so for whatever reason, she deleted it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was lucky enough to grab that screenshot before she did, and I posted it, and then I just put case closed. Case closed. Which so and it's funny because by her doing that, it actually it was a lucky sort of break from my thread because it really sealed it, because again, there was no way for me to know 100% on some of the stuff that I thought was suspect, but here she was confirming that it was actually her, and she wanted people to stop bothering her. So, and of course, she accused me of doxing her, which I did not. Everything I found was public information, and anybody can search for it.
Right.
I just put it on one thread.
Well, the reason she wanted to accuse you of doxing is if enough of her followers reported you for doxing, then your account would be suspended. So that's why she wanted to do that.
Yeah, and that's what I figured that she was doing. Somebody else also asked Grok to verify the thread, and that also helped because Grok came back and not only verified everything I put, which is also in my thread, but it pulled out even more information. It was like, and she did this and this and this. And I was like, oh my God.
Let me just review what Grok says. So accusation 1, criminal history claims, evidence and analysis. See if I can I'll show the whole post here, actually. Hold on a second. Okay, so let's see. Accusation 1, evidence and analysis. Conclusion, true. So definitely has felony theft in 2017 and 2020, disbarment in 2017, and fraud forgery charges in 2018, according to Grok. And then accusation 2, suspicious social media activity, claims created it August, volume of post every 3 minutes, suggests automation or multiple operators, artificial growth, gain traction quickly, viral with 11,500 likes, blah, blah, blah. Evidence and analysis, and then the conclusion, highly likely true. Accusation 3, peddling Israel propaganda. Goes through everything, talks about spreads pro-Israel narratives, including downplaying Israel's lobbying influence. Account grew to 1 million followers, amplified by Elon Musk, suggesting she's part of a broader influence campaign. Evidence and analysis, several of these. Conclusion, true. Insurrection Barbie's post demonstrated a pattern of promoting pro-Israel narratives such as downplaying Israel's lobby influence and amplifying Qatar's role in U.S. education, which aligns with coordinated efforts to shift geopolitical narratives. Her account growth and amplification by Elon Musk are consistent with the timeline and her visibility on X. Her history of deception further supports the likelihood she might engage in such influence campaigns. Accusation 4, history of lies and fake cancer claims. Operated her previous account, There's the evidence. Conclusion, likely true. The fake cancer claims are supported by detailed accounts with firsthand knowledge, including specific actions like taking selfies in doctors' offices. Prior accounts and Mary Alvarez are mentioned, but not directly evidenced here, though she alias aligns with Thread Three's narrative. Overall assessment is all these are likely true, mostly true, according to Grok. Wow, that's a great thread. I'm gonna have to repost that one as well. All right, so sorry. So
Yeah.
go ahead. I just wanted to
Yeah,
read
no,
that.
so that's where, um, that's where I can sort of, conclude it that the information, the things that people shared were all credited to other folks that were, over the years are literally, a lot of this stuff was people who knew her kind of, just sharing their experiences with one another. Oh yeah, she did this with me, or she did that with me. So, I'm grateful that those people shared it because, we're talking about 3 years of
Mm-hmm.
information that we would have never known, right? And so just, the thread was nothing, special in terms of I didn't, reinvent anything. I just pulled stuff together from different
Right.
sources and put them in one thread so people could see that there is a pattern of behavior here.
Mm-hmm.
And, for people to consider that if you have a criminal history, if you have a history of lying to people that you know and interact with,
Mm-hmm.
then perhaps people should kind of, take what she says with a grain of salt because you have an established pattern of behavior of
Right.
lying
Mm.
and crime.
Let's
So,
Good point. Let's look at some of these other individual posts that you sent me. Okay, wait, not that one. Let's look at this one. Okay, so we covered this one from Red. So I'll close that
I
one
don't think I can
down.
hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Oh, did I lose you? Let's see. Hold on. Let me go back to this. Uh-oh. My camera seems to have froze. Can you hear me now? Oh, I was muted. Can you hear me
Oh, I
now?
can. Yep, I can hear you.
All right, I must have hit mute somehow, so sorry about that.
It's okay.
All right, so let's go look at a couple of these other individual posts. So this one is this one you're talking about. She made several small accounts and
Mm-hmm.
let Insurrection Barbie to see what would happen when she was caught with a wig. She told people she had cancer. The woman is a con artist. Um, should I play this video? What does this video show?
Yeah, so this is her wearing the wig, and
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the videos that kind of from what people were saying there that kind of tipped people over into, okay, you're lying. Why are you wearing a wig? This isn't
Mm-hmm.
you.
All right, let me play it
Um,
here.
Like, I realize liberals think this is insulting, but I'm just pissed I didn't think of it myself because you can call me Insurrection Barbie all day long. I love it. I'm here for it. Like, I realize.
She's got a lot of makeup on there. Look at the difference in skin tone between her hand and neck and her face there.
yeah, and she's also using some filters on
Yeah,
that video, for
it
sure.
it looked
But
kind of artificial. Yeah.
and so apparently the her hair is not real there. It was this video that after which she claimed that she had cancer and that's why she was wearing a
Mm-hmm.
wig. And so that's where you see that. But I compared her voice to her, her speaking on his face,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the exact identical voice. She has a slight lisp,
Mm-hmm.
which is very identifiable, and it's the same person.
Wow. Okay, and then there's a couple just. So this is what she really looks like in the center here, and then there's just two different views of her.
Yeah,
All right, let me go to
yeah,
another one
and
of these. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and then also, in one of those threads, she also claimed that that her, when she was, I don't know if when it was Maria Alvarez or the other Yessi person, but she has two children, and she claimed to everyone that they weren't her kids. I don't know what the motivation was for that.
Really?
But she had told them that they were her niece and nephew, but in reality, they were her children.
Wow, that is pretty strange. I wonder why she would do that.
It's just very strange. Yeah, it's very strange stuff.
Let me go back to her profile. Let's just look at a couple things. Let's see. So I guess the username Insurrection Barbie was taken. That's why she had to go with at Defiantly Free. Or do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know the history about that, so I have to assume it was taken.
It's really interesting to me that she has a Bible quote in her profile now. So it says, "Put on
That's
the whole."
a new. Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. That's new. She didn't used to have that.
No, she used to have, married, no DMs, and then something else for a long time. This is new, and this goes back to when we were before we started streaming that I was talking to you. Is that one of the trends I've noticed is that with these influencers, a lot of them who, if you go back and look at videos they've recorded, their posts 2 years ago, right? Just, go back to 2023, 22, and they're not religious. They don't talk about God. There is none of that conversation. Sometime in 2024, as the MAGA movement started to pick up steam, and as did Trump, and with it, the Christian right, a lot of these influencers started to change, and it's almost like this. It's a very bizarre chameleon effect, right? It's like you're just going with whatever the current thing is, right? To stay relevant. And so you see Insurrection Barbie, for example. She's not only somehow suddenly found God, but she's also started or had this guy start a weekly church space on
I saw that.
X.
She has an X community too. There's an X community. It's like some kind of religious church group.
And these are all brand new. These are literally within the last month or so. And so, I started to notice that, but then I also noticed it on a few other, accounts that are similar. Ollie London is a very good example. And there's also a person by the name of Sarah Carrillo. Sarah Carrillo was a trans woman that was embedded into the Ukrainian army when the Ukraine war started. And she, her post went viral. She was, she was going on shows. She was getting invited to Congress. I mean, she became, if you watch this, if you're old enough like I am, and you see the patterns that happens, right? So in every movement or moment, there's also people that become these manufactured heroes. And she was one of them. And all of a sudden, she became sort of this poster child of, the Ukrainian army and this American trans woman who's, Ukrainians aren't bad people and they're blah, blah. And I'm not saying the Ukrainians are bad or not, but, it was this theme, right? And look at how they're embracing, this trans woman among their realm. Well, this person has a horrible history. If you look at her history, she had gone undercover for the DNC, but also undercover with on her own, and infiltrated some rights groups and got her friend elected in Las Vegas with their help. Once she did that, she turned on them, reported these people to the FBI. Remember, this is a couple years right after January 6th. And claimed that these people were insurrectionists. So then a lot of them got arrested. And if you look at, her history, the stuff is, again, in articles online, right?
Yeah.
That person today in 2024, at the beginning of 24, started to transition back. I noticed it just because I've been following, her crazy posts. She was also behind a lot of the things that happened with Gonzalo Lira. I don't know if you know about that journalist that was killed in a Ukrainian prison. But she was behind that. So there was a lot that I was tracking, for her. And I started noticing that this person who is physically dressed and looks like a woman is now starting to look like a man again. Well, today, even though her name is still Sarah, he is a male.
Wow.
And he no longer has a female's voice. And as of a couple months ago, he's rediscovered God. And he claims that, the reason he's fighting the trans demons and that now he's found God. Okay. So singularly, you're like, okay, fine. That could happen.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's possible.
Whatever your personal thing is. Yeah. Like each their own. But then you look at Ollie London, same type of thing. Now, it doesn't have the Ukraine stuff, but this is someone who went from being a trans Korean. I don't know how you can change ethnicity, but to trans Korean, I've never heard of that before. But to trans Korean, then became trans woman, and was just lived his entire life online. He is now a very physically obvious male and does not talk about that part of his life anymore, but instead is posting about Christianity, is actually outing other people that are trans and things like that. And so it's bizarre, right? And so to me, I'm like, wait a minute. Why have you all kind of made this tilt sometime in 2024 in the opposite direction now? Now, some people will, argue that, they found God and that they have blah, blah. I can't disagree. People do things. But if you look at the pattern of some of these people and when they did it and how they all did it at the same time going the opposite direction, you have to wonder, is this real or is this just another chameleon change because it fits the current thing? And then a couple years when the thing becomes something else, are we going to see a different change? Are we going to see a different Ollie?
No, that's a good point.
With Insurrection Barbie.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And there's one other thing I noticed that I want to talk about while I'm on here, but thank you for sharing that insight as well. So she's got 1 million followers now, 1 million, but she only has 4 subscribers, 4. So, I've seen other accounts on X that, maybe they have 5,000 subscribers and they have 5,000 followers, but they have more subscribers than that. Or, accounts that have, 200,000 followers and they have, 10 subscribers. So it kind of speaks to the fact that, well, Insurrection Barbie, her content is not actually valuable because with 1 million followers, only 4 people decided, well, I'm going to pay her $3 a month for, some extra content or whatever. It really just sort of proves her content is not actually value added. It's not valuable because you can see it by the number of subscriptions compared to her number of followers, which is interesting that, X, one of the theories was, why I was demonetized or other people were is, our content's not valuable enough. Yet, we make original articles, original videos, and then Insurrection Barbie is just basically throwing out, comments on whatever is popular, whatever is going on, possibly generated by AI and her team. And is that really valuable? Well, her subscribers don't think so, since there's only 4 of them willing to pay her. But I want to talk about this pinned post also that she has. She has this pinned post. So just think about this. She has 1 million followers. So whatever 1 million followers account is pinning, it must be pretty important. Like it must be a major thing. And she's had this pin since March 15th. So that's a month and a half. So over a month and a half, she's had this pinned post. And it's really interesting. First of all, there's a spelling error right here. She talks about, I think she means Judeo-Christian. It says Judo-Christian.
Can you read it?
Yeah.
Yeah. because I can't read it backwards.
Sorry, yeah. I hope it's not backwards for my viewers. It says, it comes as no surprise that the same people who want to decouple the word, she says judo, like karate, but she means Judeo. She just misspelled it. From Christian, when describing what America was founded on, don't understand that this is an impossible feat. She goes into the Old Testament. It shaped the founders' worldviews in Exodus. I'm going to kind of summarize the covenant, providence. She mentions moral compass is from Mosaic law, basic language, framing of rights, ideas baked into the Declaration, Constitution, early American ethos, later termed Judeo-Christian, immediately practical in 1776. So basically what she's saying is the Judeo part, this is from her writing, the Judeo part is responsible for everything we enjoy, all of our freedoms, all of our religions. So please make sure to thank the Judeo part. There's this pin for a month and a half. And then she goes down and she says, extreme, I think she means extremist. So again, this is not very good grammar. The spelling, so she was a lawyer. She was an attorney, right? So shouldn't she be able to grammatically spell kind of? This kind of adds credibility to the fact that she is not writing these. She has a team, possibly people outsourced in India, possibly AI writing this. There's a lot of strange things misspelled that don't make any sense. That if you just read it over once, you would catch it and be like, this is not right. Anyway, she means extremist, but she says they'll exist in this country, reverse free speech. Extremes are not what this country was built on. This country was built on the middle. I mean, that's not true. The country was founded on people wanting religious freedom and to be able to be landowners. I mean, that's not true. But anyways, let's see. She said Judeo-Christian post-dates America's founding. Rising in the 19th century, it encapsulates the Bible heritage, Jewish scripture, and Christian interpretation that influenced the founders' values and governance. Well, I don't remember the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution saying Judeo-Christian. I don't remember that. It says, anyways.
Well, it's a theme that I've noticed in the last year, and it has. And I'll take it. I'll segue a little bit to polling data. One of the things I've noticed is that as polling data starts to move in the opposite direction because of what's going on in Israel, that there has been a push, because if you look at data, at polling data, there is the stronghold in America is, or the last stronghold, I'll say, is older, right-leaning conservative Christians, right? But it's a older generation. I think the data was like 55 and older, something like that. And so on all other demographics, it's moving completely in the opposite direction, meaning its approval is, or disapproval is above 50%. And so what I've noticed in this last year is that as that polling data moves away from it, the more the narrative about the Judeo-Christian narrative becomes, is being pushed. That not only is it our obligation to be involved in Israel because of the Judeo-Christian history, but now that narrative is now being applied through accounts like Insurrection Barbie, that is also it's the Judeo-Christian part is also responsible for America itself. So now we're moving from, not only do we have to support it because of Judeo-Christianity, but it's, we were founded because of it. So it's rewriting of history that's happening to hold on to support. And I think that they're using religion to hold on to that support.
That's an interesting point. All right, and then so I do want to get from you. Let's talk about any other final thoughts or any other summary that you want to add. I do have an appointment coming up. I know you had a time limit as well. But
Yes.
so give me like, final thoughts, overall summary, or whatever you want to do.
Just final thoughts would just be, and I know it's hard for people to double check and confirm, but the one great thing now is that, when you see a post, right underneath that post in the comments, you can ask Growth to verify the information and, be very specific about what you're asking. And so in the case of, Intellectual Party posting, this is the Israel lobby data, asking questions like, is this the complete data? Is this all of the data? Because you need to verify for yourself because there is a lot of misinformation. I hate using that term, but there's a lot of people putting information as false, and you want to be able to verify it quickly.
Very good. I agree with that completely. All right. So I do want to thank Gen X Girl 1994. It's at Gen X Girl 1994. You can follow her on X, for coming on the show. Thanks for writing your article, sharing all that data. That's available on her profile. I've reposted some of it. You can follow me on X at Brian Ference1 or brianference.com. And of course, the MAGAMind podcast, magamindpodcast.com. You can watch all our previous episodes there, as well as on Rumble, and wherever you get your podcast, just search for MAGAMind Podcast. But Gen X Girl, thank you again so much for joining. A lot of really good data. Really appreciate it. And
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you again. And go ahead. What do you say?
No, nothing. I just appreciate the chat, and this was fun.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll do it again. But have a great day. God bless.
You too.
Take care. Tell my viewers God
Bye.
bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye.